the entrepreneurial model can work. It is possible in this day and age to take an idea, to dream, to build a team, and go out there and drive that to some measure of success.
He is a unbelievably honest and transparent leader.
Mark is remarkably good at creating connections with people.
Mark is someone that has a very high IQ, but probably even higher EQ.
He doesn't hide the truth. He shares. He expects the team around him to rise to the occasion, but the only way you could do that is by being open.
Mark's experience at Paladin was one of running a business and corporate development team, which really was the engine of growth for Paladin.
Worked with one of the geniuses of the industry, Jonathan Goodman, who I had the good fortune to learn from. The sale of Paladin was one of those moments in a career that rarely happens, where you actually get to hit the pause button and take some time to self-reflect. Rolling up my sleeves and getting to do it again without the support system that Paladin offered was a challenge that I found pretty exhilarating and intoxicating.
To be an entrepreneur, you are taking risk. When he started Searchlight, he saw an opportunity. He invested himself into that opportunity. And I think that's not for everyone. You have to have the stomach for it. Not everybody could be an entrepreneur.
The reality of knowing that you're responsible for people who have mortgages, people who have families, that the decisions you make, if they're wrong, could have consequences on those families. That's powerful and scary as well.
One of the most important concepts of women's health is that the health of women is really a barometer of the health of the entire community.
Specialty pharma means you have a focus. You have a discipline in a particular area. And clearly at the beginning, there was a void in the Canadian marketplace for women's health.
What Searchlight was able to accomplish was to really have a full spectrum of products for women's health. So everything from oral contraception to medical abortion pills, hormone replacement therapy, to really treating all different aspects of women's health.
We have brought products that others did not want to bring, chose not to bring to Canada, and we introduced them and made them successful.
There are still contraceptives on the market now that were introduced in the 1970s. We recognize there's a lack of innovation, and we think that that's just good enough. Searchlight has launched a product, Nextstellis, which to me is a complete game changer in terms of oral contraception.
Nextstellis was a very important brand for Searchlight, and as it was a very important brand for Searchlight, it really meant a lot to us because we knew that we were going to have the right hands behind the wheel to have this brand become a success in Canada.
When I met Mark, I was really just struck by somebody who I wouldn't sort of think of as an advocate for women's health, and it was really refreshing.
Mark wanted to do something that was important beyond just building a successful company. And by focusing on women's health and meeting the unmet needs of women, he truly is doing something remarkable for not only the country, but for women everywhere. He could really understand what is a good risk to take versus a bad risk and focus on the good risks to grow the company by large steps through acquisitions of portfolios and acquisitions of companies.
When these opportunities present themselves, you got to move, you got to act.
We adopted the appetite for M&A transactions, so starting with the IRFA transaction in 2021, and then followed up about a year and a half later with the acquisition of Miravo Healthcare.
It's very important to start new companies, and it's also very important to be able to scale them, which is something that typically Canada is not that good at.
Mark was able to take this idea of his, which was really pretty simple: search, acquire, commercialize. I mean, he really simplified it and built it into the most successful specialty pharmaceutical company in Canada. Mark certainly didn't think on the outset that the goal is to sell. The goal is always to build and grow and make it better and bigger.
I do think there's a point in time where you're proud of the work that you've done. And at some point, I think it's normal to realize that maybe I need to be a part of something bigger than what I've even created in order to extend that reach.
Mark had gone really silent. It was difficult to reach him, so I suspect he was really thinking and reflecting on what was the right decision.
He wanted to do more. He visioned and I visioned as a part of us being together under one umbrella.
The vision that we've always had, I don't think that ends. I think that only continues, and if anything, we've just added some rocket fuel to that vision.
He would have had many companies looking to acquire Searchlight, and he chose a strong Canadian company.
Apotex has largely been a generic business and now obviously is expanding into other areas. Searchlight allowed them to take a big step into the specialty pharma space, and who better to lead that effort than somebody like Mark, who has proven time and time again over the past 25 years that he knows this space and he could execute.
We envision together being the Canadian-based global health company, and I ask you to think of how many global companies are led from Canada by Canadians. Apotex aspires to be one of those leading companies.
What's the best way to leave a legacy? What's the best way to ensure that the work that we put in survives? But the job's not finished. We're going to continue to ensure that we have a Canadian pharmaceutical champion that we can be proud of, and hopefully achieving milestones that currently we can't even dream of.